hadn't been to Minnesota in probably 20 years.
Bring gas. Welcome to Flagrant Howls, a Minnesota Timberwolves lifestyle podcast.
Now, ordinarily, we give you our hottest Wolves takes on Wednesdays because we've had kind of a crazy schedule this week. We bumped it to Thursday, but it's worth the wait, we think. Unless engaging in a little fun, reckless speculation among friends, makes you uncomfortable. If you're uncomfortable with
this
trade fodder, wild, harebrained trade ideas, then avert your ears and eyes to this.
I don't know about this. So, it's going to be really reckless or sort of reckless?
I would have said 48 hours ago, very reckless. But I think it's been downgraded to just sort of reckless after what came out in the news cycle in the NBA in the last 2 days.
So just to be clear, much like a tornado, is this a reckless watch or a warning?
I would say previously it wasn't even a classified reckless storm. Now it is a reckless speculation watch.
Okay, so it's moving ashore. Before we didn't even see it on the radar, but now it's moving ashore.
Correct. And this reckless speculation weather report on Hottest Takes Wolves Wednesday on a Thursday on Flagrant Howls is presented by Mystic Lake Casino and Hotel.
Yes, absolutely. And it is presented in particular by a place I've been talking about now for a while, but I've got to talk about it some more because it is the greatest place to watch sports. That is the Hop House. It's the new bar in Mystic. As you can see here, if you're watching this, delicious food, delicious drink options, but probably most important to Sports Dad are the television options and the fact that this place is not only filled with TVs, it's filled with TVs that are on the games that you want to watch. That's right. They have clearly a designated point person, much like a point guard, who is distributing the games to all of the TVs. It makes it absolutely perfect. Mystic Lake, Hop House, great food, great drink, music as well, but most important to me, it's the sports. If you love to watch sports, that's the place to go.
Okay, boys. Once again, this is a warning
Reckless speculation.
for anyone who might be uncomfortable with a little reckless speculation among friends here. I think this is going to be the rare Hottest Wolves Takes episode where we just do one take. And if you guys have hot takes off of this, we can build. But I'm going to throw this out with a preface. I want to read you something from, I think this was aggregated by Yahoo Sports in September from a Greek, it was Sport 24, I believe it was a Greek sports media website of some kind. So this is translated. I'm just going to read you this. Giannis Antetokounmpo sees an elite leader in Anthony Edwards, one who puts forth the effort on both sides of the floor. For Giannis, that's what it means to be a leader in the NBA, and it's what he sees in how Anthony Edwards approaches the game, per Sport 24 in this interview. Quote from Giannis, "It's not enough to just score baskets. To be a leader, it also counts in the locker room, how you are, and on the bus, and when you eat as a team, how you are, how you behave." He said, anyway, whoever has the best year will be the best player. My preference is two-way players. I like one player, Anthony Edwards. I like him a lot. I like Anthony Davis as well. See what I mean? I like Kawhi Leonard. Two-way players he's talking about. I like guys who can play defense and offense and are dogs. When we get on the court, they're always going to give 100%. They might not play well, but they're always going to give 100%. Giannis concluded. So especially praiseful of Anthony Edwards.
Sure.
Well, the Bucks are 10-13. Their season is spiraling. And this report came in yesterday from Shams, ESPN. Just in, Giannis Antetokounmpo and his agent have started conversations with the Milwaukee Bucks about the two-time NBA MVP's future and discussing whether his best fit is staying or elsewhere.
Reckless speculation.
A resolution is expected in the coming weeks. And so I present to you my hottest take on this Flagrant Howls. It's time. Tim Connolly, Matt Lloyd, make the call to the Milwaukee Bucks. Make this happen.
Reckless
The Timberwolves
speculation.
should trade for Giannis if they have the pieces to do so, which we can talk about.
Right.
But that's my hottest take. Let's have the Giannis discussion officially. Now that Shams has been given permission, they put the trial balloon out. Like, remember that? Like last kind of May, June. It was like during the playoffs or something.
Through
And
Shams. Same thing.
it was phrased as like he's open to contemplating his options or whatever. And there was some New York Knicks. There's always going to be Knicks steam because Greek population, and it's, I don't know, maybe it's just a shorter flight. He flies private, doesn't really matter. But now that Shams has been given permission to put this out there, it's go time. He's looking around. He turns 31 years old this weekend. Happy birthday, Giannis. Nice. He's still one of the 4 best players in the NBA. And I will also present to you a parallel from 20 years ago. You know, like when Anthony Edwards came into the league and Dwayne Wade popped up and was like, I recognize that guy. That was me 20 years ago. The downhill, tenacious ability to drive to the basket, but also Dwayne Wade had a great kind of pull-up, like mid-range jump shot game. He wasn't a great three-point shooter. I think he would have become a great three-point shooter if he had come along 20 years later. But very similar offensive games. They can kind of go one-on-one isolation. They can blow by defenders, etc. And Dwayne Wade had said, I recognize that guy. That guy was me. Anthony Edwards is like the next incarnation of Dwayne Wade. Well, if you remember 20 years ago, the Miami Heat, with a young Dwayne Wade coming into his own, made a big trade for, at the time, a 32-year-old Shaquille O'Neal, who was a multi-time MVP and champion and big man, just like Giannis.
Yeah.
And he came in with a couple years left of gas in the tank. Now, I think Giannis might have more gas in the tank than that version of Shaq, because that version of Shaq was like not exactly in like the best shape every year. He was living the life. Yeah. So is there a parallel from 20 years ago where the Wolves pull what the Miami Heat did and say, we're pairing these two guys and we're going to figure it out with the role players around them and we're going to go get ourselves a title?
Well, first of all, Tim Connelly has made the call. Like, you don't have to be concerned about that. That call has been made. That call was made the second the report surfaced in the spring that he was open, that Giannis was open to exploring a trade. The phones were going. So, like, Tim Connelly, I said this before the show because I had a different hot take, but this fits in perfectly, which is something's coming. Something's coming. I've been giving this some contemplation, just a little bit side street here for how Tim Connelly thinks, okay? I thought it was interesting that, and we know that Ant has been handling the ball a lot of the season, but as of late, the Wolves have been like talking about it openly. Well, this is what we're doing now, and this is what, and I thought, why are they talking about that? Like, why now are they discussing it so much? And then a light bulb went on, click, and I realized they're doing it because they're setting up their trade options. And for instance, if they were going to get a point guard and you are making calls and a team is like, we need this and we need this, well, you would say, hold on a second, we've got Ant here. Like, we don't have to make this trade. So this would be Tim Connelly's piece de resistance. This would be his greatest work of art, his Picasso. It's interesting. I love the quote from Giannis about Ant, because I think the immediate assumption is, Giannis is in Milwaukee. He ain't going to come here. It's another Midwestern cold city. But when you think about the opportunity to win and the opportunity to win a championship, which is what the Bucks lack right now. I mean, the whole thing with Giannis in the spring, it sounds like, was, okay, you know what? I'm open to a trade, but let's wait and see. Like, if we're good, awesome. Well, they're not good. So the dominoes are starting to tumble here, at least to make this a possibility.
And to the winning part of it, Giannis and Anthony Edwards to this point have been kind of similar in a couple different ways. They're both big personalities in their own ways, and they both have, they both make $1 bajillion and have their shoe deals, and they do endorsements and all that stuff. But like, they're kind of NBA loners compared to some of the previous. Kobe was an NBA loner. Jordan was kind of an NBA loner. It was a little bit more in vogue to just like operate in your team silo back then. But then the LeBron James era and the Dwayne Wade era and Carmelo and Chris Paul and this sort of, we're all friends and buddies around here. And not that Giannis and Anthony Edwards aren't friends and buddies with guys, but they are old school in the way that they draw a line competitively
Yes.
between them and other players.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that, like, obviously it has come time for Giannis to demand out of Milwaukee, but he delivered a championship. He was loyal, much like Kevin Garnett, minus the championship, for over a decade before it just gets kind of untenable, or there's not really a path to winning in the next couple of years. And I'm right there on the edge of my age curve. I think everybody, even people in Milwaukee, would have to give him permission at this point. Yeah, we're kind of stuck as a franchise for at least the next couple of years. Just go. You delivered us a championship. But I think they prioritize winning. I think there's some other stars that just want to get out to a different market, be in LA and New York, and Stephon Marbury wanted to be back in the day in New York. I think if Giannis pushes his way to New York, it's because he thinks he can help the Knicks win a championship as priority number one. But you could argue that, and we can figure out like what the trade might look like structurally here. We can poke at that in a second. That Giannis plus Anthony Edwards and some other peripheral pieces, if you can keep enough, like that vaults you into equal or higher championship contention territory than whatever iteration of the Knicks. I mean, you'd have to keep Jalen Brunson, and it would probably have Cat going back to Milwaukee or routing to a third team or something. But if Giannis wants to win a championship and he values two-way elite players, and in this case, a complement to his sort of inside game, big man game. Anthony Edwards, one of the best three-point shooters, also can drive to the hoop. But I feel like those two guys, if you're to take like the top 20 superstars in the league and pair them off complementary fashion, Giannis and Anthony Edwards would play perfectly off of each other. And I think Giannis knows that too.
All right, so starting point with the trade. I'm guessing Julius, obviously, going out. Do you have to include McDaniels too? Most likely.
This is where it gets interesting because Giannis makes $54 million, and I will admit there's probably a deeper dive into this once we pull out the spreadsheet of glory from the offseason.
Oh.
But you got to come close to matching salaries here, just based on both teams being over the cap. But the math kind of works out, and this is where Tim Connolly is a genius. He's always a step ahead. He, over the last 2 years, has removed Cat's hard-to-trade contract. He looked at that Cat contract and said, boy, as that thing gets into like the 50, 55, $60 million range, it's going to be hard to trade that contract. And B, we're not going to have room for like other tradable contract. It'll be like Anthony Edwards and Cat making $40 and $60 million and then a bunch of like $15 and $10 million contracts. So if you look up and down the Wolves cap sheet right now, minus Anthony Edwards, who's not being traded, Gobert makes 35, Julius makes 31, Jaden makes 24, Naz makes 21 and a half, DiVincenzo 12, Dillingham 6.5. They've got a perfect Conley. If you needed to trade Mike Conley, makes like 10 or 12 or whatever it is. They've got a perfect menu of tradable numbers up and down their cap sheet right now. And the question then becomes less about can you make the math work and more about can you please the Bucks with a sampling of players? Like, what do the Bucks want out of this? Do they want a bunch of picks? Do they want some competitive players? But here's the cool thing for the Timberwolves. Since the summer, when we were having some of these same discussions about what's the next big splashy move, you could argue that the Wolves have 4 key pieces stock rising compared to July. Julius Randle, stock up compared to July. He's having one of his best seasons. He's fit in perfectly as a teammate. His $31 million salary is eminently absorbable and even tradable if you need to spin him off at some point. Jaden McDaniels, stock up. His offense has taken a leap. He's averaging 16 points a game.
You actually don't want to trade him, but you'd have to.
But like if it's for Giannis,
yeah.
Okay, like if they said, you know what? Man, we would. The biggest issue is the Wolves don't have the cavalcade of first-round picks that maybe some other teams have, Oklahoma City. But also, DiVincenzo, stock up. He's starting. He's much better offensively than a year ago at this time. And I would even throw this in. You're not going to want to trade him, but if it's for Giannis, Yohan Beranger, that's an asset you didn't have 6 months ago or a year ago at $4 million and just a really young piece development that a team might value and say, oh, you don't have a first round pick to give us here until like 2000, whatever the hell. But you've got Béranger, who's basically like a first round pick. You've got Dillingham, who might be value wise like more like a late first round pick. So you've got these little pieces that you could cobble together and make a really nice package for a team.
Don't you think, though, that like in a trade just of this magnitude with this big a superstar, you're probably talking about like a 3-team trade, right?
Yeah.
Like draft picks would come to the Bucks through take your pick of bad team.
Yes.
Who would then take an expiring contract and they'd get something back. So, like, I can't believe it feels like in the NBA, every trade like this now is like 3, 4, or 10 teams.
And there are teams out there that are looking to trade. Like the Bulls there's rumors about the Bulls and Anthony Davis, and so there's like a 3-4 team thing here that could possibly brew.
Right.
But to your point, think of it less. You made a great point. Think of it less of Wolves trading directly with Bucks, and think of it as assets going in, assets going out, and maybe some of those assets go to a third team for. So the Bucks would be looking for a combination of current NBA players that aren't just lottery tickets, and Jaden McDaniels would probably have to be the centerpiece there. Mm-hmm. But they would also be looking for maybe some draft pick compensation. So could you say, in terms of what the value that the Wolves have, Jaden McDaniels maybe is the current NBA centerpiece, not centerpiece, but like he could be like a top 3 player on a team that is a legit playoff team, right? Going out. Mm-hmm. That Julius Randle would be worth as a top 30 or 35 player in the league right now. Where was he at? The Ringer had him as like a top, like the 33rd ranked player in the league.
Yeah. Yep.
Let me put it this way. There's been first round picks traded for a lot worse players than Julius Randle. So if it was Randle going somewhere for a first round pick, and then that first round pick routes to Milwaukee or something, and there's a salary filler in there, you'd have to figure out some of this. But if value for value, if there was a third or fourth team involved to figure it out, if you sent out, let's say it was Julius, Jaden, and even like Béranger. I know it sounds like a lot, but you're talking about one of the all-time greatest players in his prime right now in Giannis to pair with Anthony Edwards. Yep. Is that enough? And the second question being, do you have enough left around Anthony Edwards and Giannis to actually win a championship? Or is that something where, okay, we've got this now, and then in the offseason there's a little more work to do to go get some veteran minimum contracts to fill out this roster? But I do believe, with some of the stocks rising over the last 6 months, with Jaden McDaniels, Yohan Béranger, Julius Randle stock up, I do believe the Wolves have more and better assets to make this trade now than they did back in June or July.
So if I'm the Bucks too, and at this point, if I'm going to trade Giannis, I'm largely blowing things up. I probably want Jaden McDaniels back. I want Julius, but Julius probably gets routed elsewhere, right? Because I'm probably not going to keep him because you're blowing things up, and he's not a kid, but he's a valuable player. To your point, my only question would be, if you looked at the other teams that would be in on the Giannis sweepstakes, and certainly he'll have some say where he lands. What do the other teams like? Do the Knicks have more to offer than the Wolves do? And again, I think you're right. I think Towns gets traded instantly, but I don't know if he stays with the Bucks if that's the case.
Yeah, that's where we don't know what like.
It's an interesting. I mean, it's a great discussion. I mean, I'm sure that there are some Wolves purists right now very upset who have turned the show off long ago to hear your reckless speculation.
Well, listen, man. Like I want to. If you are vehemently against this, I have a message for you in just a moment here. After Declan tells you a message about Wolves Realtor.
Wow.
Absolutely. So, believe it or not, the 2026 spring market isn't that far off. In fact, I bought my house last year in the spring. And if selling is on your radar, now is the time to get a plan locked in. Our friend Heather is going to help you out here, okay? If your home sat on the market in 2025 and you think it was priced, don't make the assumption so fast. Often it's strategy. Heather can help out with that. So if you're looking to sell that house, if you're looking to buy a house for the first time, or maybe it's the second or third time, go to wolvesrealtor.com. Plus, Timberwolves ticket giveaways. You get free Timberwolves tickets. So at the very least, you can enter your chance to win free tickets to the next to a Timberwolves game that's coming up. Plus, again, if you're looking to buy or sell that house, Heather can help you out. WolvesRealtor.com. Go to WolvesRealtor.com for Timberwolves tickets and for any of those buying or selling house needs.
Also, a Bricksworth in the North Loop, great spot for home games for pre- and post-game hangout sessions, eating some great Detroit-style pizza, dry rub wings, drinking the signature hazy Nas Reed IPA. And then for road games, too, there's always plenty of Wolves fans just hanging out, bellying up. And it's just a couple blocks away from Target Center, too, so you can swing in, enjoy a little pregame action, and then, well, if they were playing a home game today, I might recommend you don't walk. It's like -10 or whatever. But it's very walkable to Target Center, and there's cheaper options to park down in that area, too. So, yeah, Bricksworth in the North Loop, awesome spot. We had a great time doing a Flagrant Howls Unplugged event there last year. So check them out. They are supporters of us and supporters of your favorite basketball team. For anyone that's kind of cringing, like, oh, man, like, you can't, no, Jaden, Béranger, et cetera, no. You've got one of the 6 or 7 best players in the NBA right now, Anthony Edwards, who continues to ascend and get better. And you're kind of walking into a window here where he is becoming a guy that could lead a championship team. Obviously, the wrench in all of this is Oklahoma City has put together an all-time roster, and they have 1 loss on the season, and they're not going away. But it doesn't mean that you can't try to punch your way in there. And, I mean, the Wolves have given Oklahoma City more problems in the regular and postseason than a lot of other teams. Like, they're poking. Anthony Edwards has continued to sharpen his game. But my question to any of the naysayers who are just vehemently against a Giannis-type blockbuster trade, do you believe that this current Wolves team is capable, as constructed, of winning a championship in the next couple years? Because right now, what we had sort of hoped for is not fully happening, which is, hey, they're gonna expand their bench, they're gonna empower some of these young players, taking over for Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and they're gonna become more of a contender with youth and depth stepping up. Well, of the 3 guys who've been given the keys here a little bit, Jalen Clark, Rob Dillingham, and TJ Shannon, to this point, a quarter of the way into the season, only Jalen Clark has shown, in my opinion, he's ready for that type of, hey, he is like a bona fide 20 minutes per night guy on a team that can go deep in the playoffs. Dillingham ain't there yet. Maybe by the end of the year he takes some steps. I'm not bailing on him as an NBA player. I'm just saying, like, right now, TJ Shannon and Rob Dillingham would have to come so far to beef this rotation up for you to actually think you can beat the Nuggets or Oklahoma City in a 7-game series. I just don't think it's happening. Meanwhile, Gobert, not the same guy he was a couple years ago. Mike Conley, not the same guy he was 2 or 3 years ago. So some of your key players from before are taking a step back. What's your next chess move? Is it to just kind of add a steadier point guard who's a little bit younger? I mean, that definitely improves the team for sure. Does it help you win a championship? I don't think so. I think Giannis helps you win a championship. I think Giannis plus Anthony Edwards, and maybe you're only left over with like Nas Reed, DiVincenzo.
Okay.
There's another branch off this is, I don't know that, let's say it's Julius and Jaden and a couple things going out off your depth chart. I don't know that a Rudy Gobert Giannis front court.
No. Because
of just the lack of range. And you got to think back, like when the Bucks won the championship 4 years ago, the other big in that starting lineup was Brook Lopez, who had become a rangy big, a 7-footer that could shoot threes and stretch the floor.
Love Brook Lopez, yes.
So through this, and I mean, different player. I mean, Julius gives you a better chance to range and stretch the floor, obviously, than, well, any player gives you a better chance to stretch the floor than Gobert does. So you'd have to kind of make a decision there of, do you have to then trade Rudy as well and like nuke the whole thing and get more of a stretch big that can allow Giannis to operate with his gravity with 4 guys who are shooting threats? I think
Rudy's got to go as part of this trade. I mean, the Bucks aren't going to want him, but he's got to go. Yeah, I don't see it.
So then you're talking out. Like, could you get away with keeping Julius Randle, who I don't know if that's a perfect fit either, but like, Or are you trading all three of those dudes, Gobert, Randall, McDaniels, and you're getting back Giannis and like something else that we haven't even talked about yet? And you've got a whole new team basically mid-season.
I mean, I would say you're absolutely positively crazy, except we're talking about Tim Connelly.
Or, dude, actually, you know what probably happens? Silly us. If you keep Naz Reid, now your starting lineup is Giannis and Naz Reid in the front court.
The floor, yeah.
With if DiVincenzo is still around, Anthony Edwards, and you kind of go from there. And then you'd need like a backup big who can block some shots and protect the rim off the bench. You go find that in some iteration of this trade. So.
Yeah, I know the Wolves loyalists will say we can't do this, and to their point, like the Thunder have built up this superstar mega team, or not superstar, this mega team that they've drafted and cultivated and developed. The Pacers, right, kind of in a similar bin. They're not making the crazy splash, big old trade where they're loading up with superstars. So I do feel in the ebbs and flows of how seasons and leagues change a bit, like the three-man superstar team that we saw with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh has maybe went away for a bit. But also I think you have to recognize, if you're a Wolves fan, of, you got to back-to-back conference finals with two different iterations, like one with Cap, one without Cap. And is that your peak? Because right now, like getting back there right now, in my opinion, is not a given. So if you have to figure out a way to shake that up, and if that's Giannis, I think you got to do it. I think you have to entertain it.
Do we think he gets traded during the season?
I do.
It's out there now, so
Giannis,
I do.
Yeah, that's clearly a push.
I think there's a strategic reason why it's being put out there right now. I think he's looking at it and saying, also it's interesting, you get a little reflective whenever it's your birthday. The fact that he turns 31 years old here in a couple days, and he's one of the smartest players in the league. He understands legacy and age curves. So he knows, man, like I'm going to be 31 years old. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of wear and tear, even though I'm still one of the four best players in the league. But there's no guarantees in like 2 or 3 years that he is still that level player. And for that reason, I could hear some additional pushback that, well, why would you want to break up the Jaden McDaniels, Anthony Edwards timeline? Those guys age-wise are like aligned for the long haul here, and Jaden's and they're both under contract for like 4 or 5 more years. Why would you want to break that up? And I could definitely hear that argument. If there was a way to shuffle this thing so that you kept Jaden McDaniels and Anthony Edwards and found another piece or two that brought you to a true championship level, I'm open to that. And I'm sure Tim Connelly and Matt Lloyd are having those conversations. Yeah. But this is just a now public, imminent championship upgrade if you have the pieces to make it happen. And I think it's hard to plan for like 5 years down the road when you still have I think you got to be looking in like 2 or 3 year increments, unless you're Oklahoma City and you just have like a 10-year arc now. So I'm in, man. Like, I think it would be a blast. I think you could put a lot of different things around those guys. I also think you'd be much more able to get a hold of some of the veteran minimum dudes in the next couple of years that are looking to win a championship and fill out rosters. So I'm in. Let's make it happen, Tim.
It might not be Giannis, but what are your guys' percentages on Tim Connelly making some type of significant splash trade before the deadline?
I would say pretty high.
Yeah.
Pretty high.
I think it's very high.
Yeah.
I think it's very, very
They have
high.
a really good team.
Yep.
But they don't appear to have a championship team.
Right. And I think guys like Conley also are not satisfied with, and this is the difference between a guy like Conley and us as sports fans here. Well, you got to the Western Conference Finals twice. Don't press your luck. But if you want to win a championship, you're like, oh, no. We want to
press
get
it
past
further.
that.
Yeah.
We want to press our luck. But I'm just saying, like, the Wolves going to the Western Conference Championship back-to-back years for us is such uncharted territory that you think, wow, this was really great. Yeah. But Tim Connelly doesn't think that. And probably just as importantly, Ant doesn't think that.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Reckless speculation.
It's your hottest Wolves takes edition of Flagrant Howls here. Chew on that one. Let us know, and we'll do Feedback Friday tomorrow where we can probably piggyback off this. You guys can fillet us up and down the comment section here on this Timberwolves Lifestyle Podcast.
Killing you right now.